What's going on, you guys? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth dropped yesterday. Picked it up physically. This is a non-spoiler review for you guys. I've played about 10 hours of this game so far. I put about 9 hours in one day, and all the gameplay you will be watching is going to be on PS5 when the game is on performance mode. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Before we get into the review, it is very important to mention the critiques that people had of the newer Final Fantasy games, right? So we're talking like Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, those types of games, right? For me personally, I think the biggest things that those games were missing and why they were critiqued by a lot of hardcore fans is because they are missing some key RPG elements. The games feel very linear, and while they are very good single player story games, they aren't really good RPG games, which is what Final Fantasy is supposed to be at its core. And so the question is does Final Fantasy VII Rebirth deliver on that? Because Final Fantasy VII Remake was absolutely phenomenal. I actually really enjoy Remake. However, it wasn't like an RPG game, man. It felt like super, super linear, and it felt like I was playing something like God of War rather than a Final Fantasy game. I loved it. It was really good, but, it was just that linear story, and a lot of people were upset by that. But I'm here to say Rebirth delivers on the RPG experience, bro. It's so good. I want to go ahead and dive into that. So I guess we'll start with the positives here. One of the positives is that the RPG elements are very, very strong here. The open world is absolutely gorgeous, and it really felt like I was playing a Final Fantasy VII Remake. It truly did. This felt like a true remaster of, the classic games. But yes, it absolutely delivers on the RPG experience, and it's just so fleshed out, and I thought they, knocked that out of the park. I haven't gone too in depth into like the side quests or side stories or anything like that. However, from what I've seen so far, it looks really promising, and I will return to the side quests and side stories. I kind of want to get through the main story first, just so that when spoilers start coming out on social media, I don't get the game spoiled for myself. But I will definitely be diving into the side content because this game has me really interested in it. Another thing I want to mention too is the visuals, dude. The visuals on performance mode on PS5 are stunning, bro. They are so, so good. Like, I was seriously blown away by some of the scenery. Like, I would just stop and look at what I was looking at because it's just phenomenal. Like, low key art style and visual wise and graphics and everything like that. I think that this is one of the best open world games in that aspect because there are just some breathtaking points here. Another high point in Rebirth that I thought was really good is the combat here, dude. They totally upped their game from the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and the combat here is everything you love about the combat in Final Fantasy VII Remake, but even better. The skill tree is more intricate, and there's tons of stuff you can do with synergy abilities and everything like that. I love it, and it's a ton of fun. Another high point that I want to mention is obviously the story, okay? The Final Fantasy VII story is obviously such a classic in gaming. Like, it's one of the best gaming stories ever. However, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has a lot of moments that are like super nice and like they're upbeat and they're funny and they're goofy, right? Like Final Fantasy VII Remake, it was so dark, the tone was so dark, and I feel like the Final Fantasy series as a whole, ever since like Advent Children, like the movie, has just always had like this dark undertone of seriousness when like the old games were all fun and goofy. I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth definitely returns to those roots here for sure, and it feels like that Final Fantasy goofiness, and the series was missing that. I'm gonna be completely honest, and it is really nice to have this in this game. It's such a nice breath of fresh air. Of course, they made Sephiroth even more menacing in this game too, man. I absolutely love it, and I actually really love seeing Sephiroth on these next gen graphics, right? Not just like polygons. I love the old games, but it is really nice to see this story being adapted to next gen just because it's just that much more immersive, man. Now let's go ahead and move on to the negatives. So I seriously only have two negatives. First of all, the audio mixing is super weird. I don't know, like it's like with the music and stuff, if you just go in your settings and turn the music down, you'll be fine. And I noticed I replayed Remake recently as well, and I noticed that I had the same issues. So I don't know, maybe it's just like the games themselves, but the audio is super weird. Like sometimes you'll be in a cutscene and like the music will be louder than people's dialogue. So in order to combat that, just turn it down. I don't think it's that much of a big deal, to be honest. And my second gripe is that this is a trilogy. Obviously, this isn't the end of the story, which can be good or bad, but it's like, dang, bro, they're going to leave this off on such a big cliffhanger. I really, really hope We're gonna have more side content, more DLC content, because Final Fantasy VII Remake did have a DLC for it, which is actually pretty good. So I hope that we get some stuff for that. But that's really my only gripe, is I don't know if I can wait to continue the story, man. Like, I want to finish this remake story, but you know, they can take their time. I actually really love the idea of a trilogy, and I don't think that's too much of a gripe at all. Guys, this game is phenomenal. I'm just gonna say this game is actually phenomenal. I think that this is a Game of the Year contender, and dare I say that this is one of the best Final Fantasy games in recent time. I think that this is actually the best new age Final Fantasy game, man, because I feel like over like the 2010s, they kind of like lost their vibe, right? Like, they lost what made Final Fantasy like special. This game really returns it to its roots, and they seriously did all of these characters justice. They did Final Fantasy VII story justice. I think that this is honestly a Game of the Year contender 100%. So, to answer your guys' question, should you guys cop Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Yes, you 100% should, bro. If you guys are a massive Final Fantasy fan, this right here, this is the best thing that they've put out in so long, and I've had such a fun time with it. Like I've said, I've only played about like 10 hours or so, but it only came out yesterday, bro. I played like 9 hours yesterday. It's so good. Seriously, play this, dude. But yeah, that's basically gonna do it for the review. Like, there's not much else to say. This game is phenomenal. It's worth every single penny. If you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, pick it up, dude. 100%. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.